Feeling stuck? Like you're giving everything to everyone else and leaving nothing for yourself? Denzel Washington's motivational speech opened my eyes, and it might just do the same for you. He talks about the power of self-love and how prioritizing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. If you've been waiting for a sign to change your life, this is it. Stay with me, and you'll feel inspired to take the first step toward becoming your best self. Let's dive in. Right now, someone out there might be waiting for a sign, waiting for permission to love themselves. But let me tell you something. That permission has always been yours. It's been sitting there waiting for you to claim it. And I'm here today because I learned this lesson the hard way. You see, we're so quick to hand our love away. We give it to friends who don't bother to check in. We give it to partners who don't see our worth. We give it to jobs that leave us drained and empty. But when it comes to loving ourselves, it's like we're begging for scraps at our own table, like we're not even worthy of our own affection. Let's break this down. Every morning you wake up, that alone is a blessing. But what's the first thing you do? You grab your phone. You check who liked your post, who commented, who validated you. You start worrying about what everyone else thinks. That right there, that's where the problem begins. I want to tell you a story. There was a young man I once met. He worked 3 jobs. He bent over backward trying to please his boss, his girlfriend, his family, everyone except himself. One day, his body gave out. He collapsed. His system shut down completely. You know why? Because he forgot the most important person in his life, himself. Loving yourself isn't selfish. It's essential. Think about what they tell you on airplanes. Put your oxygen mask on first. Why? Because if you can't breathe, you can't help anyone else. That's not selfish, it's survival. But here's the thing, we get it all twisted. We think putting ourselves first is wrong, like it's some kind of crime. Who told you that? Who made that rule? Here's the truth. Your happiness is not an afterthought. It's the main event. Your peace of mind isn't optional. It's a necessity. Your self-respect isn't up for debate. It's a requirement. So what does self-love actually look like? It's saying no when you need to rest. It's enjoying your meal without feeling bad about it. It's looking in the mirror without tearing yourself apart. It's spending time alone and genuinely enjoying your own company. But what do most people do? They push themselves to the brink. They work non-stop, skip meals, barely sleep, and call it hustle. I call it self-destruction. Running on empty doesn't make you strong. It breaks you. Here's a hard truth. No one will ever love you better than you can love yourself. That perfect partner you're hoping for, they can't fill a cup that you keep empty. That dream job, it won't heal the parts of you that are already broken. You want real power? Start with the person in the mirror. Treat yourself like someone you're responsible for taking care of, because you are. Would you let anyone talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself? Would you let someone treat your child the way you treat yourself? No? Then why is it okay when it's you? Self-love isn't just about bubble baths and face masks, though hey, those are great. Real self-love is setting boundaries. Speaking up when something feels wrong. Is walking away from situations that dim your light. Look at nature. A flower doesn't ask permission to bloom. A lion doesn't apologize for roaring. The sun doesn't feel guilty for shining. So why are you apologizing for being yourself? You know what changed my life? The day I realized that every time I said yes to something I didn't want to do, I was saying no to myself. Every time I stayed in a situation that hurt me, I was telling myself I wasn't worth protecting. Some of you are nodding right now because you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been there. Maybe you're still there. Stuck in that relationship that's draining you. In that job that's breaking your spirit. Surrounded by friends who only call when they need something. Let me tell you what's going to happen if you don't start loving yourself more. Life is going to teach you the hard way. If you don't value yourself, life will send people your way who reflect that back to you. If you believe you're worth nothing, you'll attract people who treat you like nothing. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can change it. And not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Start small. When you wake up tomorrow morning, do just one thing to show yourself love. Maybe it's taking a few quiet moments before checking your phone. Maybe it's looking in the mirror and saying something kind to yourself. Maybe it's drinking water before your coffee. Self-love isn't about big, flashy gestures. It's built in the small, everyday choices you make. It's about picking yourself over and over again, especially when it's hard. Some people might not like the version of you that loves yourself, the one who says no, sets boundaries, and chooses their own well-being. Let them feel uncomfortable. Their comfort isn't your job. Your job is to take care of the person staring back at you in the mirror. That person needs you to be brave. That person needs you to be kind, not just to everyone else but to yourself. That person is done waiting for permission to live their best life. It's ironic, isn't it? We spend so much time trying to prove our worth to others. We post perfect photos. We take on extra work. We bend over backward to show everyone how valuable we are. But the one person who needs to see your worth the most is you. Let me tell you something about love. Real love doesn't hurt, not even self-love. If it's painful, if it drains you, if it leaves you feeling small, that's not love. That's punishment. And you've been punishing yourself for long enough. I see some of you shifting in your seats. This is hitting home, isn't it? Good. Let it hit. Let it wake you up because you've been ignoring yourself for far too long. You're not too much. You're not too loud, too sensitive, or too anything. You're exactly who you're meant to be. It's time you started treating yourself that way. Think about how you treat the people you love. You forgive them when they mess up. You cheer them on when they're struggling. You celebrate their wins. So why can't you do that for yourself? Some of you grew up believing love had to be earned, that you had to achieve something to be worthy of it. Let me clear that up right now. Your worth has nothing to do with what you do. Your worth is in who you are, and who you are is enough. The world will try to convince you otherwise. It'll sell you the idea that you need something outside of yourself to feel complete: new clothes, a new car, a new phone. But the truth is, the most valuable things in life can't be bought. And self-love? That's one of them. I can see it in some of you, the pain of trying to be perfect, the pain of constantly trying to please everyone, the pain of putting yourself last again and again. It's written all over your face. But that stops today, right here, right now. Because when you start loving yourself more than anyone else does, something incredible happens. You become unstoppable, not because you think you're better than anyone, but because you've finally become fully yourself. Your relationships improve because you're no longer searching for someone to complete you. You're already whole. Your work improves because you're no longer chasing validation. You're striving for excellence. Your life improves because you've finally started living it for you. Some days will be tougher than others. Some days you'll find yourself slipping back into old habits, old ways of thinking. And that's okay. Self-love isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a practice. Like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. But you have to begin somewhere. And that starting point is right here, right now. It's with the decision to love yourself more than anyone else. Not because others don't deserve your love, but because you can't give away what you don't have. If you want to change the world, start by changing your world. Start with how you treat yourself. Start with how you speak to yourself. Start with how you forgive yourself. Take a moment and really look at your hands. These hands have carried you through every tough moment, through every burden. Now look at your feet. These feet have walked through every storm, no matter how rough the path. And your heart, this heart of yours, it's kept beating even when it felt like it might break. You are nothing short of a miracle. Do you understand that? The odds of you being born are 1 in 400 trillion. You're not a mistake. You're not an accident. You're not just taking up space. When you begin to love yourself, truly love yourself, you'll see everything around you start to shift. Watch how your decisions evolve. Notice how you stop settling for crumbs and begin expecting the whole meal. See how you stop apologizing for simply existing and start celebrating it instead. This isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming self-aware. Selfish people take from others. Self-aware people know how to give without emptying themselves. The greatest gift you can give to those you love is your own happiness. Not happiness that depends on them, but happiness that comes from within. Because when you're genuinely happy with yourself, you don't need others to fill the gaps. Some of you have been running into relationships, running into work, running into anything that distracts you from facing yourself. But here's the thing, no matter where you run, there you are. You can't outrun yourself. So stop running, turn around, face yourself, and finally see what's been there all along. Someone who's worthy of love. Your love, first and foremost, always. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. If you don't respect yourself, others won't either. If you don't value yourself, others won't value you. If you don't love yourself, others can't truly love you. This isn't easy, and it's not meant to be. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But it's worth it, because when you finally understand that you are worthy of your own love, everything changes. Your smile becomes real. Your laughter becomes genuine. Your peace becomes unshakable, not because life is suddenly simple, but because you've become stronger. So let me ask you, what are you waiting for? Permission. Here it is. Recognition. Look in the mirror. Love. Start giving it to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're the one you wake up with. You're the one you go to sleep with. You're the one who knows your deepest dreams and your darkest fears. You're the one who must always be there for yourself. This is your life, your one precious life, and it's time to start living it like you love yourself. Because deep down you do. You might have forgotten, but that love for yourself has always been there. It's just waiting for you to remember it. So remember it. Remember who you are. Remember your worth. Remember that you deserve your own love more than anyone else's. And if tomorrow you forget, remind yourself again, and again, and again, until loving yourself becomes as natural as breathing. Because that's what it should be, natural, necessary, and absolutely non-negotiable. You are worth it. You always have been, and you always will be. It's time to start living like you believe it. Standhalt. Walk with pride. Love yourself first, and the rest will fall into place. When you truly love yourself more than anyone else ever could, you don't just change your life, you change the world. One self-loving person at a time. Let's talk about success, real success. Not the kind you see on TV. Not the fancy cars or big houses. Real success is waking up in the morning and actually liking who you are. That's the kind of success that matters. I meet people all the time. Rich people, famous people, people who seem to have it all. But when they're alone at night, they can't stand their own company. Now, what kind of success is that? When I look at you, I see something incredible. I see strength you haven't tapped into yet. I see power you haven't allowed yourself to use. Why? Because you're too busy searching for approval in other people's eyes. Some of you are afraid of being alone. You jump from one relationship to the next. Fill every minute with distractions. Avoid the quiet. But here's the truth. Solitude is where your strength is born. It's in the quiet moments, when it's just you, that you start building the kind of inner power that no one can take away. Real confidence doesn't come from what others think of you. Stop asking for opinions. Your life isn't a group decision. You don't need anyone's vote to decide your worth. I've seen people give up on their dreams because someone told them they couldn't do it. Let me ask you, who gave that person the right to decide what you're capable of? Your potential isn't up for debate. Your worth isn't something to be questioned. And your dreams? They're not waiting for someone else's permission. Some of you are sitting here thinking, what if I fail? Let me tell you something. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. The real failure is never trying because you're too scared of what others might think. Every single morning you have a choice. You can wake up and make excuses, or you can wake up and make progress. You can focus on what's wrong, or you can create what's right. The mirror doesn't lie, but are you ready to face its truth? When you look in the mirror, do you only see what's missing, or do you see what's there? Because let me tell you, what's there is incredible. You've survived every bad day you've ever had. You've overcome every obstacle that's been thrown in your path. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still fighting. That's not nothing, that's everything. Some of you need to do some cleaning, not your house, but your life. Those habits that are hurting you, they need to go. Those people who drain you, show them the door. That negative voice in your head, time to evict it. When you start loving yourself the way you deserve, you'll notice your standards rise. You'll stop accepting poor treatment. You'll start moving differently, speaking differently, and living differently. Your time is valuable. Your energy is precious. Your peace? Non negotiable. Not everyone will understand. Some people will call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. And you know what? Good. You're supposed to change. You're not a tree. You're not meant to stay rooted in one place. Growth is painful. Change is uncomfortable. But nothing is more painful than staying stuck where you don't belong, with people who don't deserve you, living a life that's too small for your dreams. Here's something funny about self-love. The moment you start practicing it, people will test it. They'll push your boundaries. They'll question your decisions. They'll try to make you doubt yourself. Don't let them. Your healing might make others uncomfortable. Your growth might intimidate them. Your self-love might challenge them. That's not your problem. Keep going. Some of you are waiting for the perfect time to start. Start that business. Write that book. Love yourself. Let me tell you, there is no perfect time. The time is now. Your life is happening right now. Not tomorrow, not next year, not someday. Stop putting yourself on hold. Stop waiting for permission. Stop postponing your happiness. Do you know what real strength looks like? It's looking at your mistakes and learning from them instead of beating yourself up. It's seeing your flaws and working on them instead of hiding them. The way you talk to yourself matters. The way you treat yourself matters. The way you allow others to treat you matters. Because you matter. Stop breaking your own heart. Stop betraying your own trust. Stop going against your instincts. Deep down, you know what's right for you. Trust that. Some of you have been carrying guilt for putting yourself first, like it's a bad thing to have standards or selfish to set boundaries. Let go of that guilt. It doesn't serve you. Your happiness is not selfish. Your mental health is not up for debate. Your peace of mind is not up for discussion. Remember, the world will give you a million reasons to love others more than yourself. Don't believe it. Don't buy into it. Don't fall for it. Here's the truth. When you love yourself the right way, you're able to love others even better. When you fully respect yourself, you respect others more deeply. When you honor your own boundaries, you'll naturally honor theirs too. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about being real. Real with your feelings. Real with your needs. Real with yourself. Some days you won't feel lovable. Love yourself anyway. Some days you won't feel worthy. Choose yourself anyway. Some days you won't feel strong. Standtal annivé. Your worth doesn't shrink just because someone else can't see it. Read that again. Your worth doesn't decrease based on someone else's inability to see your value. Stop making yourself smaller to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Stop dimming your light to make others feel comfortable. Stop apologizing for being who you are. The right people will love the real you. The wrong ones won't, and that's okay. It's not your job to convince anyone of your worth. Your life is your message to the world. So make sure it's inspiring. Make sure it's honest. Make sure it's true to who you are. Because at the end of the day, it's you who has to live with your choices, sleep with your decisions, and face yourself in the mirror. Make those choices count. Make those decisions matter. Make that reflection proud. You're not here to meet anyone else's expectations. You're here to live up to your own potential. Stand in your truth. Walk in your power. Live in your purpose. Because you are worthy. You are valuable. You are enough, not because someone else says so, but because you say so. And that's all that matters. That's the power of loving yourself more than anyone else. That's the kind of revolution that starts from within. That's the kind of change the world needs. Let me tell you something people don't talk about. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy self-worth. Fame can get you attention, but it can't give you self-respect. Power can give you control, but it can't give you inner peace. You might be out here buying self-help books, watching motivational videos, following all the gurus. But the real teacher is inside you. It's that gut feeling that tells you when something isn't right. It's that quiet voice that whispers you deserve better. Start listening to it. People ask me all the time, how do I start? Like there's some magic formula. You start by stopping. Stop playing the comparison game. Stop feeding into self-hate. Stop giving away your power. It's that simple and that hard. Look at a child. They don't wake up hating themselves. They don't apologize for laughing too loud, for being hungry, for being tired, for feeling happy or sad. That's who you were before the world told you to be something else. Some of you are running from your reflection. You avoid mirrors. You dodge cameras. You hide from photos. But you can't fix what you won't face. Look at yourself, really look. Past the things you want to change. See the strength in your eyes. See the stories in your scars. See the beauty in your being. Your body has kept you alive every single day. Your mind has solved every challenge you've faced. Your heart has survived every break. And you're going to tell me you're not miraculous? Stop waiting for someone else to celebrate you. Throw your own parade. Write your own headlines. Be your own breaking news. Let me tell you about regret. The biggest regrets don't come from trying and failing. They come from not trying at all. From listening to fear instead of faith. From choosing safe over satisfying. Some of you are holding on to friendships that ended years ago. Relationships that have gone sour. Habits that are poisoning you. Let them go. Your future is waiting, but your hands are too full of yesterday to grab it. They say time heals all wounds, but that's not true. Time alone doesn't heal anything. It's what you do with that time. How you treat yourself during that time. How you grow during that time. You think your scars make you less beautiful? That your struggles make you less worthy? That your mistakes make you less valuable? No, they make you real. They make you human. They make you relatable. Leadership starts with leading yourself, being honest with yourself, being true to yourself. How can you lead anyone else if you can't lead yourself? Your problems? They're not punishments. They're opportunities. Opportunities to show yourself how strong you are, how resilient you are, how capable you are. Stop saying, I can't. Start saying, I choose not to. See the difference? One is about power. The other is about choice. You always have a choice. And those people who judge you for loving yourself, that says more about them than it does about you. They're showing you their wounds, not your worth. Their criticism, it's a reflection of their story, not yours. Read it, understand it, but don't live by it. Some of you need to raise your standards, not just for how others treat you, but for how you treat yourself. Stop settling for less than you deserve. Stop accepting less than your value. Stop giving discounts on your dignity. Do you want to know what real self-love looks like? It's choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. It's doing what's best for you, even when it's inconvenient. It's being honest with yourself, especially when the truth feels uncomfortable. Your story isn't finished. Your life isn't over. Your time isn't up. As long as you're breathing, you have a chance to rewrite your story, to reinvent who you are, to rebuild your life. Don't confuse being busy with being productive. Don't mistake movement for progress. Don't substitute attention for love. Know the difference. The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your choices. Every decision you make is either an act of self-love or self-sabotage. Choose wisely. Your healing doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. Your growth doesn't need their approval. Your self-love journey is yours. Own it. Stop giving away your power in those small moments. In saying, okay, when you mean no. In saying, I'm fine, when you're not. In smiling when you're hurting. Take your power back. You know what's attractive? Self-respect, self-awareness, self-worth. These things don't fade with time. They don't go out of style. They don't lose value. Yet some of you are apologizing for things that aren't even wrong. For taking up space, for having feelings, for being human. Stop apologizing for existing. Your worth isn't in your wallet, your wardrobe, your weight, or your relationship status. It's in you. The world doesn't need your echo. It needs your voice. It doesn't need your imitation. It needs your authenticity. Be original. Be you. Be unapologetically you. When you start loving yourself, truly loving yourself, you'll face resistance. Resistance from others, from your old habits, from your own mind. Push through it. What's on the other side is worth it. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Don't wait until you lose the weight, get the job, or find the partner. Start now. Start right where you are. Your happiness is not a luxury. Your peace is not optional. Your self-respect is not negotiable. Make them your non-negotiables. The person you're becoming needs you to be brave today, needs you to choose yourself today, needs you to love yourself today. So love yourself, not because you're perfect, but because you're perfectly you. And that is more than enough. That's the message. That's the truth. That's the way forward. Now go live it, because the world needs what only you can give. But before you can give it to anyone else, you need to give it to yourself. Let's talk about something real. Every morning, millions of dollars are spent on ads telling you that you're not enough. Not young enough, not thin enough, not rich enough. And why? Because it's a business model. They profit from your self-doubt. I see parents teaching their kids to share, to be kind, to help others. But who's teaching those kids how to be kind to themselves? How to help themselves? How to love themselves? You're not behind in life. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, learning what you need to learn, growing the way you need to grow at your own pace on your own path. Have you ever watched the sunset? Nobody tells the sun it's setting too slowly or too quickly. Nobody criticizes its colors or its timing. Nature doesn't rush, and neither should you. Your phone has a battery indicator. Your car has a fuel gauge. What about you? What about your energy, your spirit, your soul? Start checking those levels too. Some of you are working jobs you hate to buy things you don't need to impress people you don't even like. That's not living, that's just existing. And you were meant for more than just existing. Social media has you fooled. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. That's a game you can't win, so stop playing it. The gym builds physical strength. Books build mental strength. But self-love, that's what builds soul strength. And that's the kind of strength that will carry you through life's hardest moments. Look at your hands again. These hands can write your story, build your dreams, wipe away your tears, and lift your head high. These hands hold power. Some of you are living on mute, holding back your truth, swallowing your words, dimming your light. Life's too short for silent suffering. Turn up your volume. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Growth will happen whether you like it or not. Self-love is what makes the difference between merely surviving and truly thriving. The world already has enough copies, enough imitations, enough duplicates. What it needs is you, the real you, the raw you, the unfiltered, unapologetic you. Do you think trees apologize for growing tall? Or mountains for their size? Or rivers for their depth? Nature shows us what self-love looks like every day. We just stopped paying attention. Some people will label you as too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too bold. But here's the truth. A flower can't be too colorful. A star can't shine too brightly. And you can't be too you. That thing you criticize about yourself? Someone out there wishes they had it. That quirk you try to hide? Someone out there would celebrate it. What you see as flaws are someone else's goals. Your mistakes don't define you, they refine you. Your past doesn't limit you, it aligns you. Your doubts don't trap you, they remind you how far you've already come. What if you treated yourself like someone you're responsible for protecting? What if you defended yourself the way you defend your best friend? What if you believed in yourself as fiercely as you believe in your children? Self-love isn't a place you arrive at. It's a practice, like breathing, like walking, like living. It's something you do every day, every moment, every chance you get. That voice in your head, make it your loudest cheerleader. That reflection in the mirror, make it your most trusted ally. That heart in your chest, make it your greatest love. Stop chasing likes and start collecting moments. Stop counting followers and start gathering strength. Stop seeking approval and start seeking growth. The difference between who you are now and who you want to be is in what you do, not in what others say, not in what others think. Some days you'll stumble. Some days you'll fail. Some days you'll question every choice you've ever made. Love yourself through those days too. Your worth isn't tied to how much you accomplish. Your value isn't measured by how much you produce. Your importance isn't calculated by how much you earn. You matter because you exist. That dream in your heart is there for a reason. That fire in your soul, it's burning for a purpose. That voice in your mind is guiding you toward a mission. Trust them. Self-love is revolutionary in a world that profits from self-doubt. Your happiness is an act of rebellion in a society fueled by fear. Your self-acceptance is radical in a culture obsessed with perfection. Take up space. Make noise. Leave your mark. Create waves. The world won't crumble if you do, but your world might if you don't. Tomorrow isn't promised. Today isn't guaranteed. This moment is all you have. Make it count. Make it matter. Make it yours. The most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Make it a loving one. Make it a kind one. Make it an honest one. Stop auditioning for roles in other people's lives. Stop trying to fit into spaces that weren't built for you. Stop dimming your light for people who aren't even looking your way. Love yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, grows you, or makes you happy. Love yourself enough to say no to anything that takes more than it gives. Your presence is a gift. Your existence is essential. Your life is your legacy. Live it that way. Love it that way. Let it that way. The world will adjust to the level of self-love you display. People will treat you the way you treat yourself. Life will respond to how you embrace yourself. So embrace it fully. Love yourself completely. Live authentically. Because there's only one you. There will only ever be one you. That is your superpower. That is your gift to the world. Listen closely because this matters. Everything I've said today will mean nothing if you walk out of here and forget it tomorrow. This isn't just a speech, it's your life we're talking about. We're nearing the end of our time together. But for you, this is only the beginning. This is your moment, your turning point, your declaration of self-love. Look around. Every single person who ever made history had one thing in common. They loved themselves enough to be different, to stand out, to take a chance on themselves. I want you to make a promise. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. Promise yourself that from this moment forward, you will stop being your own worst enemy and start being your own best friend. Hold on to everything we've talked about today. Every word, every lesson, every truth. Write it on your heart. Loving yourself isn't something you do once and forget about. It's a choice you make moment by moment, every single day. When you walk out these doors, the world will try to make you doubt yourself. People will try to make you small. Your old habits will try to pull you back. Don't let them. You have the power now. You have the knowledge. You have the truth. Use it. Live it. Own it. Here's something I know for sure. The moment you start loving yourself more than anyone else is the moment your entire life changes. That's not just talk. It's fact. So stand up. Right now. Stand up and feel it. Feel the strength in your legs, the power in your heart, the love in your soul. You are not walking out of here the same person who walked in. You are walking out awake, aware, alive. And the next time someone asks, "Why do you love yourself so much?" you look them straight in the eye and say, "Because I'm worth it. Because I'm valuable. Because I'm me." Don't just hear these words. Live them. Don't just remember them. Become them. This is your time, your moment, your life. Love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Love yourself like you're getting paid to do it, because you are. Life pays you back in proportion to how much you love yourself. Love yourself like it's your job, because it is. It's the most important job you'll ever have. Now go out there and show the world what self-love in action looks like. Show them what it means to stand tall in your truth. Show them what it means to walk proud in your power. Because this isn't just about changing your life, you're changing the world. One self-loving act at a time. One self-loving thought at a time. One self-loving moment at a time. Starting here. Starting now. Starting with you. Remember this day. Remember this moment. Remember this feeling. Because this is just the beginning of your love story with yourself. And it's going to be the most beautiful story ever told. So now go write it. Go live it. Go love it. The world is waiting for you. But more importantly, you have been waiting for you. It's your time. Right now. Love yourself more than anyone else. Love yourself more than anything else. Love yourself more than ever before. Because you are worth it. You always have been, and you always will be. That's not just the truth. It's your truth. Now go live it. Listening to Denzel Washington's motivational speech about self-love and boundaries, I was struck by the analogy he used, the oxygen mask on an airplane. You must first secure your own before helping others. That call led me to reflect on my own journey. For years, I prided myself on being the go-to person for everyone else's needs. Family, friends, work, you name it, I was there. But I wasn't there for myself. I ignored the mounting exhaustion and justified it as dedication. One day, the weight of it all came crashing down. I found myself physically and mentally drained, unable to carry on with my usual routine. That moment felt like hitting rock bottom, but in hindsight, it was my turning point. It began with a simple, almost reluctant step toward prioritizing myself. I created a boundary, a word I had once feared because it felt like rejection. Instead, it became my salvation. Inspired by Washington's message, I started saying no to overcommitment and yes to moments of solitude, reflection, and self-care. Here's where things got interesting. When I shifted my focus inward, the relationships and opportunities that mattered most began to flourish. I discovered that loving myself wasn't just about me. It was about showing up as the best version of myself for others. I became more patient, more present, and more attuned to the people and passions that deserved my energy. Washington's lessons taught me that the relationship you cultivate with yourself is the foundation for everything else. His analogy of a flower unapologetically blooming stuck with me, and so I decided to bloom unapologetically. Now, every day, I make time for practices that fuel my well-being. Whether it's a morning walk, journaling, or simply pausing to celebrate small victories. These rituals remind me of a truth that Denzel emphasized. Self-love isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about embracing who you already are. And that, my friends, is the most powerful lesson of all. Now, I want you to take action. Denzel's words have the power to transform lives. Not just mine, but yours too. And if you felt even a spark of inspiration today, I encourage you to do something with it. Start small. Take one moment today to pause, reflect, and show yourself love. Then build from there. And while you're on this journey, let's stay connected. Subscribe to this channel so you can continue to fill your mind with powerful messages, uplifting stories, and actionable lessons from the world's most inspiring influencers. Together, we'll grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient, one step at a time. Your story is still being written, and I can't wait to see what you create. So hit that subscribe button now, and let's keep building a life of purpose, one lesson at a time. Because like Denzel says, when you love yourself, you don't just change your life, you change the world. Let's make that change together.